Welcome back to Elderly Smiles. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and click the bell icon to stay updated. Let's begin the discussion.
Hey everyone, welcome back.
It's great to be here.
I'm really excited about our topic today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because let's face it, it's something that I think we all kind of think about more as we get a little bit older.
Absolutely.
And that's the connection between our, urination habits and longevity.
Right.
You might be surprised to learn just how much these two things are really intertwined.
It's true. We often think about diet and exercise, as being like the cornerstones of healthy aging.
Yeah.
But urinary health plays a really big role, too.
For sure.
And the fascinating thing is that changes in our bathroom habits can actually be really early warning signs for other health concerns.
Okay, so let's start unpacking this.
Yeah.
What kind of changes should we be paying attention to as we get older?
Okay.
I know I've certainly noticed, I'm visiting the bathroom more frequently than I used to.
Well, that's a common experience, As we age, the bladder naturally loses some of its elasticity.
Okay.
Kind of like a well-worn rubber band.
Mm-hmm.
This means it can't hold as much urine.
Right.
Leading to more frequent trips to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Especially at night.
So that explains those late night bathroom runs.
Yes.
Is that what they call nocturia?
Yes, exactly. Nocturia or frequent nighttime urination.
Right.
It's very common as we get older.
Yeah.
But it's also important to remember that it can sometimes be a symptom of other underlying conditions like diabetes or heart problems.
Oh, wow.
So it's always a good idea to mention it to your doctor, especially if it's disrupting your sleep.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's like our bodies are really sending us signals we need to pay attention.
Absolutely.
Speaking of signals, I've heard that for men, changes in urination can sometimes be related to the prostate.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
As men age, the prostate gland, which sits right below the bladder, can enlarge, leading to a condition called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH.
BPH. Now, that's one I've heard a lot about.
Yeah.
But I'm still a bit fuzzy on what it actually is.
Okay, so imagine the urethra.
Yeah.
The tube that carries urine out of the bladder as a garden hose.
I like that.
With BPH, the enlarged prostate presses on that hose, making it harder for urine to flow freely.
Got it.
This can lead to a weak stream, difficulty starting and stopping,
yeah,
and the feeling of not fully emptying the bladder.
Okay, that's a great analogy. It really helps me visualize what's going on.
Good.
So BPH itself isn't cancerous.
Right.
But it sounds like it can still be quite bothersome.
Precisely. And it's surprisingly common.
Really?
Studies show that nearly 70% of men in their 70s have some degree of BPH.
Well, 70%, that's a significant number.
Yeah.
So clearly this is something that a lot of men are dealing with.
For sure.
It makes me wonder, though, are there other conditions besides BPH that can affect urination as we age?
Yes.
I'm thinking specifically about women.
There certainly are.
Okay.
While women don't have prostates, they can experience other changes that affect their urinary health.
Yeah.
For example, during menopause, the decline in estrogen can weaken the pelvic floor muscles that support the bladder, making them more prone to leakage or incontinence.
That's really interesting. So it seems like hormonal shifts can also play a role in all of this.
Absolutely. And it highlights the fact that urinary health is influenced by a complex interplay of factors.
Right.
From the natural aging process to hormonal changes and even lifestyle habits.
Okay, so we've touched on some of the common age-related changes and conditions that can affect urination. But I'm curious, why is it so important to pay attention to these things?
Yeah.
What are the potential consequences if we just ignore them?
That's a great question. You see, ignoring persistent changes in urination can sometimes lead to more serious health problems.
For instance?
Well, for one, the bladder isn't emptying properly.
Okay.
It increases the risk of urinary tract infections or UTIs.
Right.
These can be very uncomfortable, and if left untreated, can even lead to kidney infections.
And I imagine that's a serious concern, especially for older adults.
Absolutely. Kidney infections can be quite serious.
Yeah.
Especially if someone already has other health conditions.
Right.
Another potential consequence is the development of bladder stones.
Oh, wow.
Which can be very painful and require medical intervention.
Okay, so ignoring these issues is definitely not the way to go.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, it's not just about physical health either.
Okay.
Frequent nighttime urination can disrupt sleep.
Right.
Leading to fatigue, mood swings, and even an increased risk of falls.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
I hadn't even really thought about the connection to falls.
Right.
But It makes perfect sense, especially if someone is getting up in the dark,
Yeah.
and maybe feeling a bit groggy.
Exactly. So you see, urinary health is truly multifaceted and deeply intertwined with our overall well-being.
It really is. This has been so enlightening.
Good. I'm glad.
I have to admit, I often thought of urination as just kind of a simple bodily function.
Right.
Yeah. Something we don't really need to think about much. But it's clear now that it's so much more than that.
I agree. It's a vital function that reflects a lot about our overall health.
Okay, so now that we've kind of explored some of the potential problems,
Yeah.
let's shift gears and talk about solutions.
Okay.
What can we do to proactively support our urinary health as we age?
Well, the good news is there's a lot we can do.
Okay.
And it starts with understanding those everyday habits that can have a big impact.
Like what?
Give us the inside scoop.
I'm all ears.
One of the simplest yet most effective things is staying hydrated.
Okay.
Drinking plenty of water throughout the day helps to dilute urine, making it less irritating to the bladder and reducing the risk of infections.
Okay, that makes sense, but how much water is enough?
Yeah.
I've heard so many different recommendations over the years.
It can vary depending on individual needs and activity levels.
Right.
But a good general rule of thumb is to aim for about 8 glasses of water per day.
8 glasses, got it.
And here's a little tip.
Okay.
Pay attention to the color of your urine. Pale yellow is a good sign that you're well hydrated. If it's darker, it's a cue to drink up.
That's a handy tip.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be checking the color chart from now on.
Good.
What else can we do besides staying hydrated?
Another important factor is diet.
Okay.
Certain foods and drinks can irritate the bladder.
Oh, really?
And worsen symptoms like frequency and urgency.
I'm all ears. Which foods should we be watching out for?
Common culprits include caffeine alcohol.
Okay.
Carbonated beverages, spicy foods, and acidic fruits like tomatoes and oranges.
Okay, so those are things to maybe limit or enjoy in moderation.
Yeah.
Are there any foods that are particularly good for bladder health?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
Fiber-rich foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains can help prevent constipation, which can indirectly put pressure on the bladder.
Okay.
And some studies suggest that foods rich in antioxidants like berries and leafy greens may also have protective benefits for urinary health.
So it sounds like a balanced, nutritious diet is key, just like with so many other aspects of health.
Exactly. And speaking of other aspects of health, regular physical activity is also essential for supporting bladder control.
I can see how exercise would be good for overall health, but how does it specifically benefit the bladder?
Well, for one, exercise helps us maintain a healthy weight.
Right.
Excess weight puts added pressure on the bladder.
Okay.
Which can worsen symptoms like incontinence. Additionally, some exercises like Kegels specifically strengthen the pelvic floor muscles that support the bladder.
Kegels, those are the squeeze and release exercises, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
They're often recommended for women experiencing stress incontinence.
Right.
But men can benefit from them too, especially those with BPH.
So it's like a workout for our bladder muscles.
Exactly. And just like any other muscle, the pelvic floor benefits from regular exercise.
I like that.
Even simple lifestyle changes can make a difference.
Like what?
For instance, if you tend to hold in your urine for long periods, try to make a conscious effort to go more frequently.
Okay.
Holding it for too long can stretch the bladder and weaken those important pelvic floor muscles over time.
It's all about being mindful of our body signals and responding accordingly.
Exactly. And if you're experiencing nighttime urination, try to limit fluids in the hours before bed.
Right.
That might mean skipping that evening cup of tea or cutting back on water after dinner.
Good to know. I tend to be a big water drinker even in the evening, so I'll have to keep that in mind.
And remember, these are just general tips.
For sure.
It's always best to talk to your healthcare provider to get personalized advice and address any specific concerns you might have.
Great advice. It's so reassuring to know that there are things we can do to take control of our urinary health.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And with a little awareness and proactive effort, we can all age gracefully and maintain our well-being for years to come.
So true. Well, I feel like I've learned so much in this deep dive.
Me too.
It's amazing how a topic that might seem simple on the surface can actually be so complex and fascinating.
I agree. And I think it's a perfect example of why it's so important to keep learning and stay curious throughout our lives.
Well said. It really is. And I think it's a topic that often gets brushed aside.
Yeah.
Especially as we get older.
Right.
But knowing that we can take steps to improve our urinary health and overall well-being.
Absolutely.
It's incredibly empowering.
It is.
Now, before we wrap things up, is there anything else you think our listeners should keep in mind as they navigate this journey of aging and urinary health?
I think one of the most important things is to remember that you're not alone in this.
Right.
So many people experience changes in urination as they age.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to talk to your doctor, your loved ones, or even seek out support groups.
Okay.
Sharing experiences and information can be incredibly helpful and reassuring.
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel isolated when we're dealing with health issues, but connecting with others can really make a difference.
Absolutely. And remember, it's never too late to start making positive changes.
Yeah.
Even small adjustments to your lifestyle can have a significant impact on your urinary health and overall well-being.
This has been such a fascinating and informative conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on something I used to take for granted.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I hope our listeners feel the same way.
Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive for today.
All right.
We've covered a lot of ground, from understanding the common changes in urination that occur with age,
Right.
to exploring the proactive steps we can take to support our urinary health and overall longevity.
It's been a pleasure sharing this information with you and our listeners.
The pleasure was all mine. And to our amazing listeners, remember, knowledge is power.
Yes.
And taking charge of your health is one of the most rewarding things you can do for yourself.
Absolutely.
We encourage you to continue exploring this topic, talk to your healthcare providers, and embrace those healthy habits that can help you age gracefully and vibrantly.
Here's to a future filled with health, happiness, and many more trips around the sun.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and take good care.